Uko fiti? How was the day been?
Good.
Fine. Who enjoyed playing with the kids?
Actually fun.
Oh, that's good. Haya, tuko settled ama ndio tunajipanga? Ama refreshments zimeongezeka kwa meza? Zimeongezeka? Tuko tu sawa? Yeah, so as I mentioned in the morning, my name is Boniface Harrison. I am the executive director of Mwema Action Posts. In fact, Jason, I don't know if you can help me with that, with the roll-up. Yeah, kindly, so that it can be around here. Yes. So, Mwema Action Posts is a social enterprise that is focused on empowering people to take action on climate change, digital skills, and civic engagement. And we do that through training and capacity building. A session like this one we're just about to have, a very brief one. We do that through community projects as well. We have a project coming up in Kitui on beekeeping as a climate smart agriculture practice among the young people. We also do that through digital advocacy. We do a lot of awareness through online platforms like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, WhatsApp. We have a WhatsApp channel on TikTok, Twitter platform, have I forgotten? All those platforms I've mentioned. We're very active on those platforms. And what we do there is sharing knowledge through articles, through posters, and also through video content. For example, like this video will be updated on our channels where more people can learn about digital advocacy, about even reaching out to children who are among vulnerable groups. Yeah. So that in a nutshell is what we do. We also offer services like training services, proposal writing services, graphic designing services, and even social media management. And when you look at the services that we offer, they're mostly aligned towards the digital age that we are in. We are in artificial intelligence age. We are in a lot of modern technologies coming up. Even our apps keep updating all the time. Like WhatsApp keeps changing, X keeps updating new AI. And so we will get into a lot more practical work that we have done over the years with various partners. And first, I'm very grateful to you, Steve. Earlier on when we met, you mentioned that we have seen each other on different platforms. That is very exciting, and also pleased by the work you are doing as YTICA. I told you when I heard of Young Theologians Initiative for Climate, I was very ready to meet with theologists and pastors and men in the necktie. And I was even harmed with some Bible verses to come and also align with you. But I have been surprised that YTICA has also accommodated members from different disciplines across the university. So, wonderful job. Very much appreciated also to my colleagues, Johnson from Sabico and Serone from Spark Network for this united implementation of this project. I am meant to believe that this is just the beginning. Tunaenda mbali sana pamoja, si ndio? So, straight to our discussion on digital advocacy. I would like to hear a thought from you, just easily, just being easy without pressure about grammar and everything. What do you think is digital advocacy? Yeah, yourself. You can go. Yeah.
Personally, from the term itself.
Yes.
It's a way of teaching people.
Yeah.
Through online platforms.
Yes.
Or digital material.
Using digital materials. So advocacy is basically influencing policies and changing people's behavior towards a certain desired change that you want to see among the community. For example, if an issue has happened to a community, for example, you heard about the floods that affected Maimayu area, all right? Many families were affected. Their homes were swept away, and even there were fatalities that were reported from that incident. So when you want to champion for the justice of those people, that is basically advocacy. You are advocating for the people who are vulnerable, people who may not be able to speak for themselves sufficiently. You're doing advocacy for them. You're advocating for them. How many are advocates, environmental advocates? Yes, great, all of us, right? All of us are environmental advocates. So in more academic and formal terms, we would say advocacy is the act of influencing decisions, policies, and behaviors to protect those who are vulnerable, the environment, and to also promote sustainable practices. That is, in a nutshell, what advocacy is. And as he mentioned, we are now doing advocacy using digital platforms. How many of you are on Facebook? Steve? Yeah, 3 of us, 4. TikTok? Good number. Instagram? Good. Instagram. How many of you post on their main feed on Instagram? Himself alone. And you too? Yeah, many of you do stories, right? Yeah, there is that culture a lot. Instagram has a lot of posting on stories. LinkedIn? Yeah, LinkedIn 2, 3, 4. Good. It's interesting. You can actually connect on those platforms. Yeah. Which is the other platform? YouTube. How many of you have YouTube channels? Yourself and yourself. Good. You know, for YouTube, I also saw YTICA is on Instagram and Twitter as well. Yeah. So we have also sent you some tags and collaborations. We can connect, and even on those platforms, wherever you are, you can connect on Mem Action Post and even Boniface_Waharrison. So then, how does what is the essence of advocacy anyway? Why would we venture in advocacy? For example, we are all environmental advocates. Why do you think we do what we do? Why? Why do you think we are environmental advocates? You have some idea? You can share. Yes. Yeah. To influence them to do what?
Advocate and also
Yeah.
to have the idea and practice, for example, the climate action.
Yes. For them to also do what we do, right? That is a good reason. And it is actually true that we want to influence other people and motivate them to be climate and environmental advocates. Another one reason? Generational habit, intergenerational.
From our kids to our great-grandkids.
Yeah.
All of them are carrying the same message.
Actually, intergenerational aligns very well with today's activity because we are planting seeds of change among those kids. They are growing up understanding about taking care of the environment, and they're seeing their elder brothers and sisters are doing something for the environment. So that is actually sustainable intergenerational change towards that. Who wants to make a last try? Why we do what we do in advocacy? Why is it important anyway? Why would we not all sit at home and imagine that the environment will be safe? You have something, yeah?
Mine is very simple and very short.
Yes.
I read a book by he says that the environment, when we hurt the environment,
yes,
it reacts back to us.
Yes.
But for me, why I call myself?
That's true. Really, when the environment responds to our inaction or to our harmful actions, it is usually very devastating. The effects are not very pleasant because, for example, when you cut down trees, you see the kind of floods that are witnessed in areas where trees have been cut. Yeah, you also see the amount of carbon that is rising in areas where our actions have affected the environment. Another reason why we do advocacy, my friend there, I don't know, you told me he studies BBIT, right? Yes, so one of the other reasons why we do advocacy is actually to champion climate justice. All right? There are communities that have been adversely affected by the effects of climate change. All right? Right now we're talking about 3 million people who are facing drought in areas of Mandera, Wajir, Kitui, even coastal counties like Taita Taveta, the Asal region. Those are people who need support. Who will speak for them? Yeah, it is us who will speak for them. For example, there was a story I saw, a story of a heroine, where a factory that was processing, copper near their neighborhood was actually doing it without considering environmental impacts. And that lady went and confronted that company. It was a very long process because, industrialists are also known to the bureaucrats. They can call the shots. And although the lady ended up losing her job, she made sure that children who were born in that area, you have seen how effects of pollution affects children. Areas where mining is taking place, noise pollution, emission of harmful gases, that affects children a lot. So then we existed as advocates to ensure that we speak for those voices. Then why would we, for example, you have not all studied environmental science, you're in different careers. How then does advocacy align with your line of career? All right? That is something you can think about, because sometimes it may look like you're doing advocacy as a side thing. Nafanyanga tu time ya weekend, when I'm not busy, or when you get a job, you will quit YTICA and do what you prefer doing to get money. Then we are also thinking about how can we integrate our careers with environmental conservation and sustainability. For example, a friend of ours has been a comrade for a very long time in the environment space. She's now in education. Her name is Rukia Ahmed. Yeah? Rukia, when she went to education, she's now working with children in training them about environmental conservation. And I saw she was recently in the papers. Yeah? When you are in BBIT, I mentioned to you about, because I have friends who have done BBIT, you do a lot of coding, right? So that means organizations that are starting up that are aligned with environment, you can actually, as a person who understands environmental conservation, when you are designing a website for that company, you will be designing from a point of knowledge. Sindio? When you are in media, yeah, you're going to take photos that tell a story of climate justice. You will not just take photos randomly of people laughing. You will understand where the issue is and capture it well. Which career are you in? In theology. In theology, I told you I was very pleased that the verses that I came with are finally getting to be used. So I had a verse from Genesis about when God actually told us to take care of the Garden of Eden. Adam was placed there and put in charge. Sindio? So when you are practicing theology, understand theology is even more than preaching. And also, part of preaching is even talking to the congregants. One of the people who has access actually to people and to transform, to influence what they think, is actually religious leaders. You have a lot of influence in the society. All of us from all the careers, tukimaliza wiki, tunaenda wapi? Kanisa. Sindio? So that also aligns perfectly with your, and even God places responsibility on us to ensure that we take care of those who are underprivileged, those who are oppressed. It is God's mission to do that. Sindio? Which career are you in? Criminal justice. Criminal justice is actually climate justice. Sindio? Criminal justice, you're going to investigate incidences of disasters. Have people actually received the support they were supposed to receive? Have authorities responded the way they were supposed to do, because budgets are allocated for that? Yeah, you yourself, Steve, which profession?
Management science.
Management science. Tell us a little about management science.
So it's basically part of, we do computer science.
Yes.
And we apply it to business setup.
Business setup.
Yeah.
You are familiar with the green businesses, even social enterprises like ourselves, social enterprises. So when we have this knowledge of sustainability, and all of you can think about your careers and how they merge with environmental sustainability, so that you don't see this advocacy as a pastime, or sometimes as it doesn't relate too much with what I went to school to study. So then we move to generally what are some of the elements of a good advocacy campaign? What do you think a good advocacy campaign would look like? And I can share with you some of the key points. One is clear problem definition. If you want to do advocacy, you must understand what problem you want to solve. For example, what is the biggest problem around Limuru? Around this place? Which issue do you think is the most pertinent here? Overpopulation? Environmental? Looking at it?
Once a place is densely populated,
Yes.
then the access to social services becomes less. And now they achieve or they get the social services.
Fine. Okay.
You'll find that haifiki kila mtu at the same time. For example, when we do a cleanup, we do for maybe a small group of people.
Yes.
Then tomorrow we just come and find that the same place has the same problem.
Yes.
So no, with a lot of people,
Correct.
not kind of manageable, you find that you're doing the same thing over and over again.
Yes.
Not changing anything. So now we need to teach them on how to use the recyclables.
Yeah.
We go to the eco.
Youth groups are going out to do cleanups, and immediately you leave that cleanup, that is there tomorrow again. So that means behavior change has not been achieved sufficiently within that area. But identifying the problem clearly is very important. For example, if it is the problem of plastic pollution, when you identify that issue, now you pursue that particular issue. You don't go ahead and start focusing on water, focusing on other issues. You identify that issue and you run with it, because it helps even with consistency of the messaging. Evidence-based messaging. When we are sharing content, let's ensure that we have researched well about that particular issue. For example, we're in the age of misinformation, right? And sensational news. So when you see that, a huge disaster has befallen Kitui, where do you come from? From Thika. You hear that this is happening in Thika, cows are dying, and you just go ahead and post on your Facebook and everything without verifying, is it actually true? So when people see that you are spreading fake news, they don't trust you next time, because you become, your credibility is questionable. Target audience, it's also good to understand who you are targeting in this campaign. Kama unataka children, you go for children. If you want household owners who are not managing their waste well, you go for the right target audience to ensure that they understand that they are responsible for the actions that you are talking about. Clear goals and objectives. It's important to set goals for a campaign to ensure that the end out, you want to achieve 1, 2. For example, kama unafanya plastic pollution advocacy, unasema what is our goal? We want to make sure we talk to 70 people and give them this kind of flyers, and give them this kind of messages. We want to write a petition to the county and tell them we need more dustbins established here and there. Very measurable objectives. And then stakeholder engagement is important. In student life, I was a student leader at TUC. I was the ASG there. And sometimes there is a belief many young people have that the only language the administration understands is violence. There is that narrative a lot. The only language that the government understands is violence. So even without even engaging in dialogue, you just rise up and you are guns blazing, fighting with everyone. Have you tried talking to someone? Have you tried writing to the VC and telling them you want more dustbins? Yeah, you want to the county and telling them you want this. You'll be surprised they'll listen to you. For me, all the time they try to talk to the administration, they listen. Then I used to ask, now why do I protest? Is when I talk to the VC, he listens. When I speak to the dean, he listens. That's what I mean, so it's good to make sure that you have engagement, because sometimes when you go online to post about issues and you know the stakeholders, then they ask you, sasa unaenda kupost na hujatuambia. Si unaona? Ungetuambia kwanza before uende useme we are irresponsible. Si ndio? That is very, very important. Policy analysis and entry points, communication and outreach, it's important. Now this will be the main point. Establishing the channels that you want to use in this advocacy campaign. I want to encourage you, first of all, I know we are saying that we are online, but very few people actually create content online. Many people are consumers of content. And I want to give you one incentive of being online is actually it contributes to your career growth. All right? Because these days, if you have tried applying for opportunities, if you are applying for a fellowship, applying for a job, people want to see what have you been doing before. You even saw the US Embassy recently, they said they want to review your social media platforms before giving you a visa in the past 5 years. So online presence is very important, but you also need to be organized in the way you're sharing your content so that you don't expose yourself too much. If you check my social media platforms, I've been fairly consistent over the years, but I've also tried to keep my private life personal. Yeah, you only talk about work and issues that concern the community. So that is very important. I want to encourage all of you. When you go home, think about how you can revamp your LinkedIn, how you can revamp your Instagram to make it look professional, so that when you're applying for something, you have a link you can attach. You can say, I have been involved in children empowerment programs. You posted some nice photos and a good caption, professional. That will add to your portfolio. And more better if you do very business-oriented activities and you're aligning them with climate. Organizations are hiring across fields. NGOs are hiring accountants. And when, for example, an NGO sees that you're an accountant who understands environment conservation and sustainability, then they see that you understand the language of donor funding. You can just be an accountant who just knows how to value money. You don't know how to interact with donors. So that is very important. First encouragement. Tukue online, but tukue safe. Let's share only what we want to amount to our portfolio. And then choosing these platforms is very important. And even understanding what message you want to share. Many people don't want you to share too long content. Yeah? Umepiga hapo paragraph 6, kona jargon zote. Yeah? Piga tu content conversational. ChatGPT these days has good support, but you can end up saying nothing with too many commas and items, and then you have said nothing in that post. So it's also important to be very intentional about the message you want to share. Sidio, I can give you a quick look of a post. A post must have an introduction. The first paragraph must be the introduction. That's where you say everything you want to say. Today, we were at St. Paul's University for a training on digital advocacy towards environmental and climate action. That is the top statement. Sidio, si mtu akisoma hiyo sasa rajua tuko wapi, tunafanya nini, na kina nani, with YTICA. Tumemaliza hapo. Then now the subsequent paragraphs go ahead to expound on what we did. The first session was about kids. We had some nice lunch, We later had the training session, and then a conclusion. What do you want people to do after that? A call to action. You have to tell people, now we have done all this. What do we do? You can tell them, continue partnering with us. You can even thank them for considering working with you. For example, like ourselves, we are grateful. So our call to action to people is, thank you very much for trust. We are also available for more collaborations. That is messaging. Usiwaidanganya watu wanasomanga posts. When you post something online, Because if you try to insult someone, they will see. Because people read those content. So that is an overview of how a post can look like. Platforms like X have limits of some the characters that you can write. So you also shorten your messages, even using ChatGPT can do very well. Tell it to make it a tweet. It will become a tweet, and then you have to review it to see if it conveys the message that you want. You don't do long format content, YouTube is there for you. Sindio? Unapiga content yako ya YouTube 5 minutes, explain the videos, you're good to go. Instagram, a lot of people with money on Instagram can tell you. People with buying capacity, if you are selling merchandise on climate action, if you are doing really things that need people who are heavyweights. Unaona watu wapostingi kwa feed ni story tu. How pesa iko huko. So ensure that you target them even in your opportunities, because this can form even part of collaborations you want to make. You can be having a project as an individual. Sindio? How will you partner with anyone if you have no track record of making sure that you put strong passwords and even two-factor authentication to ensure that account yako iko safe. Mtu asichukue achome. The other key thing you need to consider is privacy, data privacy. You heard someone, Cynthia was mentioning in the morning about how we need to post the content that we gather. For example, sharing very personal stories, direct faces of people who have not given you their permission to post them. These days it is bad. It is very bad. People are being fined millions of money just because of, especially organizations and companies. Post, especially these clubs, the lounges, unapiga tu mtu picha anakuja sherehe na posts. Anakuuliza bana nini nikupe ruhusa ya kunipost? I was coming to have my drink. You're taking my photos. Why? Millions of money are there. So it's important to ensure if it is masses of people, take photos from the back. Ensure you don't capture, you don't spotlight people. Hata watu wakikupeleka kotini watu watano, tuambie jamani ndugu zangu, nyinyi mko na mambo yenu. Watu watano wote, na mimi mwenyewe niko hiyo picha. Sasa hata mimi nikijitaki. At least the large numbers are good, but spotlighting individuals and even sharing stories without their consent, that is not good practice. It's important to consult all the time. News may look like breaking news. Unataka kuwa mtu wa kwanza ku break the news, but don't do that. Ensure that you get permission to share some kind of information. Even when you're engaging with stakeholders, in January, over the December, I was engaging with IEDC officials in our sub-county, asking them about how many youths are turning up to vote. And so when I called her, I informed her, I'm going to be documenting this story. So are you okay with it? When I quote you, and she consented, and we continued having a conversation and asked the right questions that I needed to know. You will also see such stories on our platform as they continue getting produced. So that is what I would share with you from the top of my mind. I know the time is not too much for us to get into very particular details or even crafting some examples of posts, going through particular campaigns that we've done before and how we can curate some going forward. We will definitely need to have more sessions in the future to tackle particular issues one after the other. But I would be interested in hearing from you and learning whether you have some questions and even share some experiences that you would like us to as well know. Yeah, mimi nafika hapo.
Morning and now.
Okay, that's good.